When I was growing up, my childhood, some of our relatives lived in California. Now, this was all through the 1970s, and about when I was about 10 or 11 years old, at that age of learning, I knew how far California. I knew how far California was away. And some of our relatives lived in Los Angeles, and it seemed like one of them lived in San Francisco. Well, anyway, every year they would fly in, and we'd all congregate at my grandma's. So I apologize for the traffic noise. And we'd all congregate over my grandma's, and it just I remember one of my uncles. His name was Red. Him and his wife Caroline. I think his wife was Caroline. I'm trying to think back. I remember the flying real well, but I'm trying to remember if he was married to my aunt Caroline. Anyway, my mom could straighten me out. I remember Red very well. Anyway, I remember my mom saying, Red and Caroline's flying in from California. I remember my mom using the words in just a few hours. I'm thinking, what? I'm 11. I'm a kid. I'm not a teenager yet. I remember that. So this is right around. It was all through the 70s, but I remember one time about 1975. I remember my mom using the words, "It'll be here in a few hours." Now, like I said, I knew California was on the other side. It was a long ways away. And, maybe 3, 4 hours or so would go by. Next thing I know, we're getting in the car to go to grandma's. And I remember pulling up in the driveway, seeing their car in their rental. I'm trying to remember if we picked them up. Not us, but my aunt and uncle. I'm trying to remember if they picked them up or they got a rental car. I can't remember that part, but I remember seems like they got a rental because. But anyway, I remember pulling in my grandma's driveway, walking in the house, just a few hours later, and there they all was in the kitchen, laughing and talking. I was just so blown away by that. I remember my Uncle Red. We always called him Red. I remember, and back in those days, they either called me Greg or Greggy. Well, I wasn't a teenager, I was just a kid. Seemed like they called me Greggy a lot. Anyway, I remember my Uncle Red. I said something to him. He said, and I quote, I can still hear him telling me, and I quote him. He was a real nice guy. I remember him saying, "Well, Greggy, just a few hours prior or ago, we was sitting in our living room." I'm sorry for the traffic noise. He would say, "Well, Greggy, just a few hours ago or prior, we was sitting in our living room in California." California, he would tell me. And here, they're in Mainville, Ohio, Warren County, sitting at the kitchen table with my grandma, talking, maybe playing cards. We just walked in. I remember being blown away by that. How fast, how quick, how fast that really was. Just amazing, jet speed. Just a few hours. We've had jet power since I was a little boy, 45, 50 years ago. Just like it is today, in 2023, you could do the same thing in 1975. And I remember being so amazed by that, blown away, because I was just learning. I was a kid. I was around 11 years old. I remember just being mesmerized by that. They was all the way in California. Now they're sitting just a few hours later. They're sitting at my grandma's house in the kitchen, talking and laughing. I was just so blown away by that.